Okay, son, sure we do.
We all know there's one person fans are dying to see make a proper return in James Gunn's DCU, and that's Ben Affleck's Batman. The version of Batman that never got his solo movie, the one fans hoped would get a final epic send-off, well, there's been a lot of teasing over the years, and some of it may have already happened, at least in glimpses. For instance, a few think Affleck's Batman might have already had a cameo in Creature Commandos, the animated series, but it's unclear if that counts as a real introduction. Because of that ambiguity, the chatter online has grown, with rumors hinting that Affleck's Batman could finally get a solo project in the new DCU. So, let's dive into what these rumors suggest and why it might actually happen. Even though plans for an Affleck-led Batman movie were scrapped multiple times, there's a persistent buzz that fans are loving. Some of these rumors speculate that Lobo, set to appear in the upcoming Supergirl film, could cross paths with Affleck's Batman. And a few go further, suggesting that they could even fight on screen. Maybe it's a flashback, a multiversal collision, or even part of a bigger storyline tying into Gunn's DCU. It might sound out there, but for comic fans, this isn't unprecedented. Lobo and Batman have collided more than once in the pages of DC Comics. Take Batman Superman Volume 2 number 28 for instance, a brutal clash packed with raw power and snarky one-liners. And in Batman vs. Lobo DC First, we saw just how chaotic and wild their dynamic can be. So if Gunn wants to bring that explosive energy to life, the groundwork is already laid. Speaking of suicidal characters, let's not forget Joker. Jared Leto's portrayal has had a rough reception over the years. In Suicide Squad, many fans weren't impressed. Too many tattoos, too much edge, and not enough of that classic chaotic charisma. But Snyder gave Leto a chance at redemption with that tense nightmare sequence in Zack Snyder's Justice League. And strangely, it worked. The tension between Joker and Batman felt real and layered, almost unsettling in the best way. In The Dark Knight Returns, Joker is manipulative, cruel, and deeply entwined with Batman's psyche. If Leto leaned into that more cerebral, sadistic version of the character instead of the mob boss angle, it could be a perfect setup for a final confrontation that hits hard emotionally while giving fans the chaotic Joker-Batman dynamic they've been craving. Now, stepping back a little, there's one story that could tie all these threads together and give Affleck the proper send-off he never got: Frank Miller's The Dark Knight Returns. It's a legendary comic, beloved for a reason, and it's practically tailor-made for the version of Batman Affleck played. A grizzled, aging vigilante, hardened by loss and experience, forced to come out of retirement for one last fight. It fits beautifully with the tone Snyder established, and it provides a natural platform to revisit key characters, like Jared Leto's Joker, the Nightmare Future, and even Deathstroke, who was supposed to be central in Affleck's cancelled solo film. This brings us back to Affleck's solo Batman movie, which was originally going to be written, directed, and starred in by him. That movie was meant to feature Deathstroke as the main villain, with early footage even teasing Joe Manganiello in costume. Sadly, it never came together. But now, if The Dark Knight Returns were adapted into a film in the current DCU, elements of that scrapped project could be reintroduced. Deathstroke could return for a climactic battle, or the movie could borrow the darker, grounded tone Affleck envisioned, giving fans a glimpse of what might have been without stepping on Matt Reeves' separate Batman universe. And then there's the Nightmare timeline. That post-apocalyptic dystopian vision teased in Batman vs. Superman and brought to life in the Snyder Cut had so much untapped potential. Darkseid conquering Earth, Superman falling to corruption, and Batman leading a small resistance. There's weight, scope, and tension there. Snyder had plans to explore that further through time travel, alternate futures, and the Justice League fighting to change destiny. A Dark Knight Returns-inspired movie could tap into all of that, giving us a glimpse of what became of that version of Earth. Maybe Bruce sacrifices himself to change the timeline, or maybe we see a world gone too far to fix. Either way, it would provide closure to a story that's been dangling for years. We also can't forget about the murdered Robin, whose death loomed over Batman silently. The costume defaced with Joker's handwriting in Batman vs. Superman hinted at a tragedy that was never explored. Snyder intended to introduce Carrie Kelly, the young, spunky girl who becomes Robin in The Dark Knight Returns. She would have been a bright spot in Bruce's otherwise bleak world, offering emotional depth and showing how a weary Batman begins to rediscover hope. Their bond could have been one of the most touching elements in a finale, letting audiences see Bruce grieve, rebuild, and ultimately pass on his legacy. One criticism of Affleck's Batman in the DCEU has been how underused the classic rogue gallery was. Joker and Harley Quinn appeared, sure, but villains like Two-Face, Scarecrow, or Riddler were conspicuously absent. In The Dark Knight Returns, Batman faces the mutant leader, witnesses Harvey Dent's psychological decline, and has a chilling final encounter with Joker. Add Deathstroke and Catwoman into the mix, and you've got a villain roster that tests Bruce physically, mentally, and emotionally, a true finale for the character. But it's not just about closing Batman's story, it's about giving the Snyderverse the send-off it deserves. The DCEU has been a roller coaster, with highs like Man of Steel and Zack Snyder's Justice League, and lows like inconsistent continuity and scrapped projects. A Dark Knight Returns-inspired movie could be the perfect farewell to that era, letting every character have meaningful closure. Even if some actors carry over to Gunn's DCU, this story could function as a proper epilogue, wrapping up dangling arcs and rewarding longtime fans. So, why hasn't this happened yet? Mostly, it comes down to shifting priorities and behind-the-scenes drama. Initially, Ben Affleck was fully committed. He wanted to direct and star in his own movie, but eventually he stepped away from directing to focus on acting, and later exited the project entirely. Warner Brothers brought in Matt Reeves, who cast Robert Pattinson as a younger, standalone Batman and crafted a different universe. While the Batman was a hit, it quietly marked the end of Affleck's iteration in the DCEU. Affleck did appear briefly in The Flash, but it left fans confused rather than satisfied. He had a solid action sequence and a touching moment with Barry Allen, but the twist ending, bringing in George Clooney's Bruce Wayne, blurred timelines and left Affleck's Batman arc unresolved. That unresolved storyline has only fueled fan calls for a proper send-off, and many believe The Dark Knight Returns could be the perfect way to finally deliver it. Meanwhile, the DCU is moving forward with a brand new Batman in The Brave and the Bold, who is older than Pattinson's but younger than Affleck's version. He's already a father to Damian Wayne, suggesting a seasoned crime fighter still in his prime. While this is an exciting direction, fans are still rooting for Affleck's Batman to get a definitive conclusion, especially with Lobo joining the mix in Supergirl. Fans are speculating that since Batman and Lobo have clashed in the comics, there's a real opportunity for Gunn to bring that rivalry to the screen. Lobo's chaotic strength versus Batman's strategy would be cinematic gold, whether as a cameo, a flashback, or part of a multiverse collision. Even more exciting, a Dark Knight Returns-style film could weave together all the threads that fans have been waiting for. It could reintroduce Deathstroke, revisit the Nightmare timeline, explore Carrie Kelly as Robin, and give Joker a true psychological showdown. It would finally provide closure for Affleck's Batman while allowing the DCU to reboot cleanly under Gunn's guidance. All of this adds up to one thing: Affleck deserves this movie, and fans are ready for it. Between the rumors, the potential for multiversal crossovers, and the sheer number of storylines that could be explored, it feels like the perfect time. Gunn's DCU has already hinted at embracing legacy characters and multiverse ideas, which could allow Affleck's Batman to appear without complicating the new continuity. And honestly, seeing him face off against Lobo, battle Deathstroke, and confront Joker one last time, that's a finale fans have been waiting for over a decade. So while the path has been messy, with canceled projects, shifting studios, and reboots, the stars are aligning. Lobo's cinematic debut, the multiverse angle, and Gunn's willingness to bring together legacy characters all point toward Affleck's Batman finally getting the send-off he's always deserved. It might take a few more announcements or leaks to confirm, but the buzz is real and the setup is there. And that's that for today's video. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.